Did you know that Australia has one of the highest allergy rates in the world? In fact, childhood allergies have increased by over 400% in the last 30 years, and scientists are at a loss to explain why this is so. So what I'd like to do is investigate the way in which our homes could be contributing to the allergy epidemic, and most importantly, how we can address that. Now, carpets are full of a plethora of different agents, from particles like insect parts and insulation fibres, to lead dust, which of course is extremely toxic to children, to things like chemicals, flame retardants, solvents and pesticides, biologicals like pollen, mould, bacteria, and of course house dust mite. House dust mite, in fact, about 10% of the population have sensitivities to house dust mite, and they're common causes of asthma and sinus and even eczema. So how do we address all of those issues? Well, firstly, good housekeeping is absolutely critical to keeping that load down. If you have children with allergies, it's best to remove carpet in bedroom areas of the home, and particularly pets should be avoided where there are carpeted areas. So what we need to do is to look at ways in which to reduce the dust load and therefore reduce the house dust mite, because wherever dust and dirt is, house dust mite will be. The best example of this would be to buy an appropriate vacuum cleaner, and it's the most expensive thing I recommend in my book. The rest of what I recommend is pretty much education and knowledge. When it comes to vacuum cleaners, there's all sorts of makes and models, and I'm not going to even go start into that because they're changing all the time. But what I would look for in a good vacuum cleaner is essentially two things. Firstly, you want a HEPA filter. Now, a HEPA filter is a filter that looks like this. It's a pleated filter, and the way it works is that it actually will reduce and filter down to 0.3 microns. Now that's really important because mould is generally between 2 and 30 microns in diameter, so it will be trapped. All your pollens will be trapped by this, and your house dust mite will all be trapped. So most of the allergenic particles you find in your carpets will be trapped when you have a HEPA filter in your vacuum cleaner. This isn't something you can retrofit, it's something you buy when you purchase your vacuum cleaner. So you have several filters in most of these vacuum cleaners, and they include pre-filters, and this is to protect the motor from burning out by filtering out larger particles before it goes into the motor. And then more importantly, the HEPA filter. So this is where the exhaust air comes up through the HEPA filter to prevent 80% of what you've just put into the vacuum cleaner becoming airborne. If you use a conventional vacuum cleaner without this, what happens is most of the particles below 5 microns will actually become airborne, where they can actually affect people's breathing zones. So it's really important to get a vacuum cleaner that has a HEPA filter. The next characteristics of a good vacuum cleaner is one with a motorised head. So you want one where the head actually has a motor in it to be able to dig into the pile of the carpet. Now obviously, if you only have timber floors or tiled floors throughout your entire house, you don't need a motorised head. But if you do have carpets and rugs, then this is important, because otherwise you're only going to be getting rid of surface dust. So a vacuum cleaner, look for a HEPA filter and look for a motorised head, not a turbo head, and you'll significantly reduce the amount of allergens that become airborne in your home.